What's up, people? I'm Tangy Nacho, and today we're just gonna do a quick recap of last week in the Overwatch League. I don't normally do general update stuff like this, but if you guys like it, maybe I'll do one of these recaps every week or something. I enjoy predicting the scores of the games, and I post all my predictions on Twitter in the days before the matches, so follow me over there at Tangy Nacho and we can discuss. If you're not already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Tap that sub button and become a member of the Tang Gang. Also, another quick update. I've decided to keep this channel purely Overwatch related, and I'll be starting up a channel for Pokemon with my friend Tetsu. More info on that coming soon. Anyway, enough intro stuff, let's jump into this. Alright, so first up we had the rematch from last season's finals, which was Philly Fusion versus London Spitfire. I think most people thought London would be able to defend their title, but Philly ended up beating them 3-1, and it was actually a really exciting game. Next up was my hometown team, Boston Uprising versus the New York Excelsior. I did not have high hopes for this game at all. I actually predicted it 4-0 going in the way of New York, but Boston came out stronger than I expected and they held New York to a 1 map differential. This was big because a lot of the community thought Boston was going to be complete trash and New York would be unstoppable. I'm included in that, but they proved us all wrong. Like, they almost took the win and it was pretty impressive. Fusions is an incredible main tank that makes the loss of Gamsu not really effective, and also the fact that it's GOATS meta means they don't really need good DPS players. So I think this is the meta that Boston is going to be good at in this season. If the meta changes, we might see something different in a future matchup. Then we had the Seoul Dynasty versus LA Gladiators, and I was super excited for this one too. Fisher just went over to Seoul from the Gladiators, and it was like he was facing his own team in his first game, and he won. He kind of wrecked them. I mean, I didn't get to see the whole match, but Fisher was popping off, and he looked really good with the rest of Seoul. Not that LA played badly, but it was definitely a dominant performance from Seoul there. And the last game on the first day was the Shanghai Dragons versus Hangzhou Spark. Unfortunately for the Dragons, they were missing a main tank. Gamsu hadn't started playing yet. I predicted that Hangzhou would win anyway, and they did, 3-1. I think Hangzhou looks really strong, like stronger than most people even predicted. And I think Shanghai will be really good too, like they'll finally get a win, they just gotta get their footing. Then on Friday we had Toronto Defiant versus Houston Outlaws. This was the first map 5 we saw, and it was a pretty good match. Toronto Defiant looks really good, Houston Outlaws look better than we expected, but yeah, not much to say there. Then the next game though, Atlanta Reign versus Florida Mayhem. I mean, everybody kinda knew Florida Mayhem would be bad, but goddamn, Atlanta Reign is really entertaining to watch, especially with Defran of course. He came out on Torb on the first map. Oh, it was just great. It seems like they have this Torb strat on Ilios well, and it worked really well. So they got the first 4-0 of the season. Then right after that, San Francisco Shock did the same to Dallas Fuel. It's a little bit of a different story there. I think Dallas and San Francisco are both really good teams. It just went in the favor of San Francisco this time. Then we had Chengdu Hunters versus Guangzhou Charge, and man, I gotta say, I expected the Hunters to be like Shanghai Dragons from last season, like barely get any wins, and I expected Guangzhou to be pretty decent. They did go to map 5, but Chengdu took it in the end, and that's pretty impressive I think. So we're definitely seeing that Chinese talent can hold their own in the Overwatch League. Then the first match on Saturday was huge, Paris Eternal versus London Spitfire, and London lost again, 3-1. Now, I definitely did not expect this. Like, I knew Paris would be alright, like, pretty high tier team, but I thought London was going to come in here being top 3, top 2, and Paris just 3-1 them. I mean, it could have just been bad luck on the London Spitfires part, but you look at the fact that they lost to Philly 3-1 too, it's like, maybe they're not really good in this meta. I mean, we know that Gesture doesn't like playing Reinhardt, so that's definitely playing a factor there. Paris Eternal looking pretty good though. Then we had New York's second match against Washington Justice, and they won 3-1. Again, not much to say there. I didn't catch this game, but New York looking pretty powerful like they should be. Washington holding their own. And then a surprising win from Hangzhou Spark over the LA Valiant. Went to game 5, pretty exciting match. I really like watching Hangzhou play just because they're pink, and the Valiant is one of my favorite teams because they're green, so that was a really cool match for me. And I expected Valiant to come on top, but Hangzhou took it. I'm really proud of them. They're looking really strong, one of the best expansion teams. But speaking of good expansion teams, the Vancouver Titans take down Shanghai Dragons 4-0. They did have Gamsu in this matchup, but it wasn't a factor. Vancouver Titans look super good, and I mean, I kind of expected this. I'm super pumped because I really like this team. I liked them since they were part of Runaway. So yeah, definitely unlucky for Shanghai with the first 2 matchups, but I think next week they'll probably take a win. And then the last day was full of Game 5s. First up was Houston Outlaws vs Boston Uprising. I thought Houston would take it, but Boston ended up clutching it out in the end. This is always a matchup I'm kind of torn between because I really like both teams. I guess I should have more faith in Boston because they are actually looking pretty good. Then right after that we had Philly Fusion vs Atlanta Reign, and DeFran brought the Torb out once again on Ilios. This time it was on map 5 last round, and it may not have been a good choice against Philly because they did lose it. But I mean, you can't complain when you see something like this in the Overwatch League. Super entertaining stuff, and Philly looks pretty unstoppable right now. Then the third match of the day was another Game 5, this time San Francisco Shock versus Los Angeles Gladiators. And as predicted, Los Angeles Gladiators look pretty good. I mean, San Francisco is not the best opponent in the league, but they're pretty good too, and LA ended up taking it 3-2. Then finally we have Dallas Fuel versus Seoul Dynasty, and it was a 3-1 for Dallas Fuel. Now this match always reminds me of that match back in Season 1, Stage 1, Seoul versus Dallas, and everybody expected these two teams to be like the best teams in the league. They went at it, Dallas looked alright, but then they just kind of fell off after the loss. And now they get this redemption win. It feels really good. If you're a Dallas fan, you should be feeling proud of your boys in blue right now. And that wraps it up. So right now we have 3 teams that are undefeated, all with +3 map differential, and that's Philadelphia Fusion, Hangzhou Spark, and NYXL. Most of the teams are 1-1 as expected, and we have a few teams that have yet to pull off a win. The Houston Outlaws, London Spitfire, and Shanghai Dragons sit at the bottom with some pretty bad map differentials, but I'm sure they'll pick up some wins next week. So that does it for this recap. Again, let me know if you like this kind of content and I'll definitely make some more. I do really like discussing the Overwatch League, so it's definitely something I'm interested in. Comment with any feedback or ideas you might have, and of course be sure to subscribe. Check out my other videos if you haven't already, share them with your friends, and until we meet again, later people!